live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. Welcome to the National News telecast here on ChannelEye Rupavahini. I'm Movin Hettiarachchi, joined together with Natalia Vivavardhana. At first, a look at the headlines. Ranil Wickremesinghe sworn in as the new Prime Minister. MP Harin Fernando says there's a difference between his position and the party stance on taking over the government. UNP General Secretary says the party support will be extended to the new Prime Minister. The President says that the new government will be formed within this week. Samagi Jana Balawegaya writes to the President agreeing to form a government under 4 conditions. India decides to send 65,000 metric tons of urea to Sri Lanka. Russia launches a shell attack on the Donbas region of Ukraine. Now on to those and more stories on detail. On today's top story, United National Party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe was sworn in as the Prime Minister.
New Premier Wickremesinghe was sworn in before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The ceremony was held at the President House in Colombo this evening. New Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has previously served as the Prime Minister on 5 occasions. Secretary to the President Gamini Senarath and Dr. Maitri Wickremesinghe were also present.
Sri Lanka ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරාජයේ අග්‍රමාත්‍යවරයෙහි කාර්ය සහ කර්තව්‍ය ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරාජයේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව සහ නීතියට අනුකූලව අවංකව ඉටු කරන බවටද ශ්‍රී ලංකා ජනරාජයට පක්ෂපාත වන බවටද මගේ උපරිම ශක්ති ප්‍රමාණය ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරාජයේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව ආරක්ෂා කොට අනුගමනය කරන බවටද ගෞරව මානයෙන් යුක්තව ප්‍රකාශ කොට ප්‍රතිඥා වේ.
Now for a brief note on the new Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was sworn in today. Ranil Wickremesinghe received his basic education at the Royal College, Colombo and obtained his LLB degree from Colombo University. His advent into politics occurred while he was still a law student. In the year 1977, he was elected to the Biyagama electorate and was appointed the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in the J.R. Jayawardena government. He is the coveted record holder as the youngest cabinet minister when he was appointed at the age of 28 as the Minister of Employment and Youth Affairs. When he was holding the position of the Minister of Educational Reforms and New Industries, he introduced a new set of principles on modern industries to the country. During his tenure as the Minister of Youth Affairs, Ranil Wickremesinghe launched Youth Services Council and Young Prayer for the development of youth leaders. In 1993, Ranil Wickremesinghe was appointed to the Premiership, and in 1994 he was made the leader of the United National Party. In 2001 general election, after winning 109 electorates, Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected as the 17th Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Subsequently, the general elections held in the year 2005, he was appointed the leader of the opposition. Later in the presidential election of 2015, he brought forth the concept of a common candidate and worked dedicatedly to achieve the victory of Maithripala Sirisena. After the elections, President Maithripala Sirisena appointed Ranil Wickremesinghe as the Prime Minister. In the general elections held in 2015, the United National Front won 106 seats, which led him to become the Prime Minister again. The Good Governance government remained in power for 3.5 years following his appointment. Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected to the chairmanship of Asia Pacific Democratic Union, and then he was awarded the chairmanship of the International Democratic Institute. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who has a special interest in Buddhist philosophy and history, has written a classical works titled Deshapalana and Dhammya, Politics and Dhamma. In recognition of his contribution to the economy of Sri Lanka and his achievement in the fields of education and human rights, he was awarded an honorary doctorate by the Deakin University in Australia. In 2001, economic growth was negative. At a time when foreign reserves were gradually depleting, the public mandate was handed over to Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to uplift the collapsed economy. It is significant that Prime Minister Wickremesinghe was successful in stabilizing the rupee and strengthening the foreign reserves to revive the collapsed economy. Representing the Parliament for nearly 50 years, the new Prime Minister was able to fulfill a decisive duty towards the future of governance while strengthening the democracy.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe paid a visit to the Walker Ramya Temple in Kollupitiya and he engaged in religious observances during his visit to the temple. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also paid a visit to the Ganga Ramya Temple in Vimukthi, Colombo.
Yeah, are you confident you can do it?
Yeah, we'll do it.
So what do you think will be the first step forward for you? Sir, is there an action plan? Have you listed out the ministers?
මේ රටේ ආර්ථිකය ගොඩ ගන්න ඕනේ. මිනිස්සු අමාරුවෙන් ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. ඊළඟ මාස කිව්වේ මීටත් වඩා අමාරු වෙනවා. ඒත් අපි මේකෙන් ගොඩ එන්න ඕනේ. ඒ ගොඩ එන්න තමයි මම බාරගන්නේ ඒ වැඩ කටයුතු කරලා දෙන්න. අපිට මේක තනියම කරන්න බෑ. අනික් රටවල් වල IMF වල ආධාර වුමනයි. ඒත් ආපහු තුන් වේලක් කරන જાතියක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. රුපියලට වටිනාකමක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. තරුණයන්ට අනාගතයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. අරගලේ ගෙනියනවා. අපි කිව්වා ගෝටාගෝ ගමට අත ගහන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ගෙනියන්න ඕනේ. පොලිසියත් කරන්නේ නැහැ මොකොත්. අරගලේ ගෙනියන්න ඕනේ. නෑ මට තියෙන දෙපැත්තෙම බහුතරේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමා මම ඔබෙන් අහන්නේ මේ රටේ අද මිනිස්සු දුක් විඳින එක නවත්තන්න ඕනද නැද්ද කියලා. ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ නෑ මේ පටු දේශපාලනය කරන්න තුන් වේලක් කන්න බැරි වුණත් කමන්නේ නෑ. අපිට පෙට්‍රෝල් නැති වුණත් කමන්නේ නෑ. අපිට ඩීසල් නැති වුණත් කමන්නේ නෑ. අපිට විදුලි බලය නැති වුණත් කමන්නේ නෑ. මම කියන්නේ මම මේව අරගෙන දෙනවා පක්ෂ සීලු දෙනාගෙම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සීලු දෙනාගෙම සහයෝගය ඇතුව.
EMSB Ekanayaka has been appointed as the new secretary to the Prime Minister. The newly appointed secretary to the Prime Minister received his appointment letter from the Secretary to the President, Gamini Sanrath. The event was held at President's House in Fort today. The new Secretary to the Prime Minister, EMSB Ekanayaka, is a retired special grade officer of the Sri Lanka Administrative Service. He had assumed the post of Secretary to the Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe, thrice during the period from 2015 to 2019. This is the fourth time he has been appointed to this post.
US Ambassador Julie Chung says she is looking forward to work with newly appointed Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. She made these remarks in a tweet a short while ago. The US Ambassador has said that the appointment of Ranil Wickremesinghe as the new Prime Minister and the quick formation of an inclusive government are first steps to addressing the crisis and promoting stability. She has further indicated that the United States encourage meaningful progress at the IMF and long-term solutions that meet the needs of all Sri Lankans.
General Secretary to the United National Party, Palitha Rangabandara, says all necessary support to the party will be extended to Ranil Wickremesinghe upon his appointment to the premiership.
He made these remarks to the national television this evening. UNP General Secretary Palitha Rangabandara said that all members in every level of the party will extend their fullest support to rebuild the country. He said that UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe is an internationally reputed figure who has the capacity to fulfill this duty successfully. He said that even the International Monetary Board and global financial institutions have also issued a statement placing trust on party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe's management skills. He also said that Ranil Wickremesinghe took over the premiership in 2001 when the country was experiencing a negative economic growth. The UNP General Secretary said that UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe was able to revive the economy within 158 days. He also said that Ranil Wickremesinghe government in 2015 was able to increase the salary of the state sector and further strengthen the economy. He further said that this government period saw many development initiatives, including rural development. General Secretary Rangi Bandar also said that the UNP leader has a sound knowledge and experience over international relations and management in every aspect. Therefore, he said that the UNP leader would be able to showcase his skills and capacities to uplift the country yet again while providing reliefs for the people. He also said that the time has come to further strengthen the parliament through the 19th Amendment and also to bring in the 21st Amendment to the Constitution. However, he said that the opposition continued to put in conditions at a time when the country is deprived of a Prime Minister, President and a government without taking up the responsibilities. Parliamentarian of Samagi Jana Balawegaya Harin Fernando says that there is a difference between his position and the party position on the taking over the government.
The parliamentarian made these remarks following a meeting held at the opposition leader's office yesterday. MP Harin Fernando said that separate group expected to call on the president, claiming that a long time has passed since the beginning of this crisis. He said that certain sacrifices should be made at this juncture, which is his own position in this regard. He said that the party awaits the president's decision to vacate the post. However, he added there is no time to waste considering the present situation in the country. He said the country requires more than $85 million. For now, he added that fuel can be distributed by imposing 3-hour power cut. He further added that a decision has to be reached, in his own opinion, considering the unruly and violent incidents which occurred in the past few days. He also added that he will take a personal decision and remain independent in an effort to find solutions. He further said that everyone has to work together at this juncture, whether they would consent at the next election or not. Responding to a question raised by a journalist, the parliamentarian said that an immediate solution should be sought for the prevailing situation. He added even though the stance emphasizes his position, the party holds a different position in this regard. He said that people as well as parliamentarians continue to remain patient until a political solution was sought over this issue. However, he said that time has come for all to work together consciously, considering the prevailing situation in the country. Samagi Jana Balawegaya says a decision has been reached today to form a government led by Premiership.
Party leader Sajith Premadasa, speaking at a media briefing held today, he said that a letter has been directed to the President consenting to form a government under 4 new conditions. Leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa, said that the Samagi Jana Sambhane has decided to form a Prime Minister-led government under several conditions. He said that one of the conditions would be the resignation of the President within a stipulated limited time frame. He also added that the implementation of the 19th Amendment with the support of all political parties within 2 weeks is another condition. He further said that they are expecting to revoke the existing executive presidency with the support of all the parties in an expedited mechanism. He also pointed out that an opportunity will be facilitated to conduct the parliamentary election to form a permanent government after normalizing the public life and the sovereignty of justice. He said that they have a progressive, expert and efficient team to control the collapsing economy and enforce the constitutional restructurings. He said that the letter was sent to the President based on the constitutional amendments raised in the President's address to the nation.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that a new government will be formed within this week. In addition, addressing the nation yesterday, the President said steps will be taken to amend the Constitution to reenact the contents of the 19th Amendment to empower the Parliament. The President said at present the country is facing the worst crisis in its history. He added the economic crisis that preceded this event created social and political instability due to the difficulties faced by the people. As a solution to the problem, the President said a common proposal was put forward by various parties to form a new government with a majority of parties represented in the parliament. He said that many discussions were held with leaders of various parties and groups in this regard in past. He pointed out that he accepted this idea and took some difficult and tough decisions to set a platform for the solution. When the cabinet was replaced, he said a new cabinet was appointed consistent of young MPs, where a large number of former senior ministers as well as Rajapakshas was not appointed. Also, he pointed out the Prime Minister resigned and an agreement was reached to dissolve the entire cabinet and make room for a new Prime Minister and cabinet. However, he said that on the Monday morning an unfortunate situation arose. Based on the incident, he said that riots broke out all over the country in a short period. Even before the curfew was imposed, the Tri-Forces were deployed. He said the process took place in an organized manner throughout the country, resulting in 9 deaths, including a member of parliament, while approximately 300 were hospitalized, he added. The President strongly condemned without prejudice that original incident which led to these events, and he said the IGP has been instructed to initiate investigation into the incident. However, he said that the series of murders, assaults, intimidations and destructions of property that followed cannot be justified. From the moment the incident took place, he added, steps were taken to control the situation in the country with the involvement of the Secretary of Defence, the Chiefs of the Armed Forces, the Inspector General of Police, the Chiefs of Intelligence and the Security Council. At this juncture, he pointed out the primary responsibility of the government is to ensure the safety of all citizens. Therefore, he said the 3 armed forces and police have been ordered to strictly enforce law against the rioters. The President said steps will be taken to strictly enforce the law against all those who planned, supported and promoted this incident. He urged all to refrain from such acts of sabotage and request the responsible citizens to consider the prevailing condition in the aftermath of the incident and to condemn such groups that continue to spread hatred. While working to ensure the security of the country, he said he will work with all party leaders to bring about political stability in the country. He said that steps will be taken to form a new government to control the current situation, to prevent the country from falling into anarchy as well as to maintain affairs of the government that have been halted. This week, he said the Prime Minister will be appointed who can command the majority of the Parliament and secure the confidence of the people and Cabinet of Ministers. Thereafter, the President emphasized that steps will be taken to amend the Constitution to reenact the contents of the 19th Amendment to empower that Parliament. The new Prime Minister of the new government will be given the opportunity to present a new program and to take the country forward. He pointed that various factions have also called for an abolition of the presidential system. After the new government stabilizes the country, the opportunity will be given to discuss with everyone and work in this regard. The President requested the assistance in maintaining the state of machinery and uninterrupted to protect the nation and provide essentials to the people without allowing the country to collapse. The President Rajapaksa urged all Sri Lankans to act with restraint and prudently at this juncture.
The island-wide curfew will be lifted at 6 a.m. tomorrow and will be reimposed at 2 p.m. on the same day. And the curfew will be lifted again at 6 a.m. on day after. The curfew was lifted at 7 a.m. today and the curfew reimposed at 2 p.m. will continue until 6 a.m. tomorrow. The curfew was imposed in accordance with the provisions of Section 16 of the Public Security Ordinance. No person is allowed to be on any public road, railway, public park, public recreation ground or other public ground or the seashore except under the authority of a written permit granted by an authorized officer. The island-wide curfew was lifted at 7 a.m. today for a period of 7 hours. Accordingly, people in various parts of the country were seen arriving into nearby towns and cities to fulfill their essentials. Sri Lanka Transport Board and private buses were deployed for operations. People were seen arriving to Colombo area following the lifting of the curfew. people in Hatton were also seen arriving to the town area to purchase essentials following the lifting of the curfew despite the inclement weather. Reports have indicated that state institutions were also opened for services. Shops in Polonnaru district were also open today and a tight security was seen in the town area. Many people in Badulla district were seen engaging in the daily activities following the lifting of the curfew. Kapatipola weekly fair was also opened. People in Dambulla area were seen arriving to towns after the lifting of the curfew. Dambulla Special Economic Zone was open for business. People were seen engaging in their daily activities in Vavuniya district. Fuel queues were also seen in several areas today. Sri Lanka Petroleum Private Tank Owners Association said that distribution activities were carried out in a normalized manner. A hotel in Negombo area was set on fire amidst the tense situation occurred on the 9th of May. Reports have indicated that some entities who had looted the hotel have returned several equipment to the Katana police station. Three suspects taken into custody over the alleged assault on senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakon were remanded until the 19th. The relevant order was issued when the suspects were produced before Colombo Fort Magistrate today. An identification parade over the incident was held today. Kollupitiya police informed the courts that the chief witness of the incident, the police driver, is currently receiving treatment at the police hospital. The other witnesses of the case, Senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakon, Superintendent of Police Disanayaka, are currently unavailable as they are resting on medical advice. Therefore, the court was requested to postpone the identification parade. Objecting this request, Attorney at Law Maitri Gunaratne pointed out the attempt taken to keep the suspects in the remand custody. Considering the submissions, Fort Magistrate Thilinagamage ordered to conduct the identification parade on the 19th. A person who had allegedly attempted to incite violence against armed forces in the country using social media amidst the prevailed tense situation has been taken into custody. The suspect, identified as a personnel expelled from Sri Lanka Army Services, will be produced before the Attanagalla magistrate tomorrow. An attack had been launched on the party office and two apparel factories belonging to former State Minister Hafiz Nazir Ahmed. The employees of the factories engaged in a protest today, urging the authorities to take legal actions against the offenders. The final rites of the late parliamentarian Amarakirti Atukorala was held at the public cemetery in Polonnaru today.
The parliamentarian succumbed recently following an attack which occurred in Nitambua. The late MP Amarakirti Atukorala was a representative for the people in Polonnaru district for nearly 2 decades. He was elected to the parliament from the 2020 general election. Many were present at his residence to pay last respects to him. Many public representatives were present at the occasion. Travel bans have been issued against 17 persons, including former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, today over the series of incidents in relation to the attacks launched on the protesters in several sites in the Golf Race Green in Kollupitia. The relevant order was issued by the Colombo Fort Magistrate Court.
The relevant order was issued by Fort Magistrate Thilina Gamage after accepting a request made by Additional Solicitor General Ayesha Jinsena, who represented the Criminal Investigation Department. Accordingly, the foreign travel ban has been imposed against Pavitra Wanniyarachi, Harin Fernando, Namal Rajpaksha, Sanjeev Edirimanna, Kanchana Jayaratna, Rohita Begunawardena, C.B. Ratnayaka, Renuka Pereira, Sanat Nishantha, Mahinda Kahadagama and Senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennagon. Also, 7 eyewitnesses have also been barred from travelling abroad. Secretary of the Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna, Tilwen Silva, says the President should consent for the proposals presented by National People's Power as a solution for the political instability in the country.
He pointed out that the party will not extend their support for any interim government formed outside these proposals. He made these remarks in a media briefing held today. JP Secretary Tilwen Silva said that the people in the country are rejecting the present composition of the Parliament. He said that therefore they will not agree to any solution provided through this composition. He pointed out that the political instability cannot be achieved by temporarily changing the composition. Therefore, he said the new people's mandate should be sought to form a new government and the government should be elected by the people. He said for this purpose, an interim government for a period of 6 months should be established as per their proposal. He pointed out 2 alternatives for the proposed interim government. He said the first alternative would be the formation of a temporary government following the resignation of the President. He added that the government is prepared to take over the responsibility. If not, he said the National People's Power is ready to fulfill the role of the opposition if an interim government is formed with the other parties. Today is the 34th day of the people's protest underway in front of the Presidential Secretariat in Golf Race Green.
Large groups arrived from various parts of the country have joined the ongoing protest. Various groups of people were seen protesting in front of the Presidential Secretariat last night as well. A large gathering of people were also seen at the protest site today. The youth at the protest site has also established an organization under the title Aragalaya.
India decided to supply 65,000 metric tons of urea to Sri Lanka immediately under the existing $1 billion credit line. This was revealed when High Commissioner of Sri Lanka in New Delhi, Milinda Moragada, called on the Secretary of the Department of Fertilizer of India, Sri Rajesh Kumar Chaturvedi, today. The total requirement will suffice the paddy cultivation in the current Yala cultivation season. High Commissioner Moragada extended his gratitude to the Indian Secretary for the Department of Fertilizer for his personal involvement in arranging the necessary approvals and logistics to supply 65,000 metric tons of urea to Sri Lanka in consultation with the High Commissioner of India in Colombo, Gopal Bagle. In response, the Indian Secretary Sri Chaturvedi said that his department is always ready to support Sri Lanka in keeping with India's neighbourhood first policy. He further said that the Indian Department for Fertilizers has made an arrangement to ship the required quantity of urea from the nearest port to Sri Lanka.
A Commissioner General of Essential Services and 2 additional commissioners have been appointed. The new appointees have been vested with the duties to coordinate and initiate all activities to maintain the supply of essential services as per the power vested in the President. Accordingly, the new Commissioner General of Essential Services was appointed as per the power vested in the President. Special Grade Office of Sri Lanka Administrative Service KDS Premachandra has been appointed as the Commissioner General of Essential Services. Former Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture Rohana Pushpakumara and Postmaster General Ranjitharya Ratna have been appointed as additional commissioners. Secretaries from 25 districts have been appointed as its coordinating officers. Former Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government, J.J. Ratnasiri has been reappointed as the Secretary to the respective ministry with effect from the 10th of May.
Speaker Mahindayapa Abeyewardena says the Parliament will be reconvened on the 17th. This was revealed at the party leaders' meeting, also known as the meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Business. The party leaders' meeting to discuss the prevailing crisis situation was held virtually last evening. The meeting was reconvened today as the relevant parties were unable to reach an agreement during the previous meeting. Accordingly, party leaders arrived at the parliamentary complex under heavy security. During the meeting, it was decided to take up no confidence motion against the President submitted by Samaga Jana Balawegaya for debate next week. The first task following the gathering of the Parliament on the 17th would be to select a Deputy Speaker of the Parliament. Subsequently, a decision has been reached to take the no-confidence motion against the President up for debate by suspending the standing orders. The Department of Post Services says the distribution of the relevant admissions for school and private candidates for this year's GCE ordinary level examination.
It will begin tomorrow, and that Postmaster General Ranjitharya Ratna said that all necessary measures for the distribution of admissions have been completed at present. Postmaster General Ranjitharya Ratna said that the admissions of the candidates have already been handed over to the Department of Postal Services by the Department of Examinations. He added that another stage of admissions are yet to be handed over to the department. He said that the relevant distribution activities will commence tomorrow. He said that the distribution activities were delayed by a few days due to trade union actions and curfew situations. He further said that the Department of Examinations should be notified if a candidate has not received their relevant admission. We'll move into a short break and we'll bring you foreign news right after this.
ජීවිතය විඳවන්න නොවේ විඳින්න. අදම HIV පරීක්ෂණයක් කරගන්න.
And we are back with foreign news. Russia has intensified its attacks on the Ukraine's Donbas region. Foreign media reported that residential areas have been attacked by missiles and heavy artillery by the Russian forces. Meanwhile, in other areas in Ukraine, the second largest city, Kharkiv, has been pounded by Russian artillery for 70 days. However, Ukrainian troops fighting back to hold the city have pushed Russian forces so far back that the artillery is no longer in range of its center. Elsewhere, Ukraine's military says it has again destroyed pontoon bridges that Russian troops were using to cross a river in the eastern Luhansk region, where heavy fighting has been raging for days. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry published photos on what it said were destroyed Russian tanks and other armory in the village of Bilorikva, near the strategic Ukrainian-held city of Lysychansk. Nearly 800 cruise and ballistic missiles have been launched at targets in Ukraine since the war began on 24th February. And we are back with sports news. Meanwhile, 2 foreign coaches have been appointed for the national football team. Sri Lanka Football Federation made the official announcement in this regard today. Head coach of the national side is Scottish national Andy Morrison. He had captained the Manchester City club earlier in his career. English national Keith Stephen has been appointed as the assistant coach. They are expected to arrive in the country next week. They will take part in the practice sessions with the national side, which is preparing for the qualifications of the Asian Football Championship.
Now we are looking at the IPL. IPL is in full swing in India. In yesterday's match played in Mumbai, Delhi Capitals secured victory against the Rajasthan Royals.
Batting first, Rajasthan Royals scored 160 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Ravichandran Ashwin scored 50 runs while Devdutt Padikkal scored 48. Delhi Capitals managed to chase down the target of 161 by only losing 2 wickets in the 18th over. Michelle Marsh scored 89 while David Warner scored 52.
That's it for tonight's English News telecast. Thank you for joining us. Good night.